Hello, and welcome to the postmortem for our game, Cornucopia. Cornucopia is a cooperative sci-fi board game for up to 4 players, and it includes elements of survival, exploration, and horror. My name is Zay Ariaga, and here's the rest of the team.
I'm Joshua Leong.
My name is Casey Blunt.
My name is Blake Rossi.
Hello, and my name is Igor Polotai.
In Cornucopia, you will be exploring an abandoned factory and gathering a variety of resources that you need to repair your ship. You will also find items that will help keep you alive from hostile monsters that prowl in the vents. As you explore the factory, random events will occur that you need to be ready to deal with, or your chances of survival will plummet. The narrative for our game is as follows. Crash landed on the desolate moon Fortuna 5. Your team of space adventurers must navigate the eerie, abandoned factory known as the Cornucopia that dominates the arid landscape. Work together to search dark hallways for essential tools needed to repair your ship and escape the moon's clutches. But beware, because lurking within the shadows are deadly creatures, ready to test your teamwork and strategy. Will you conquer the Cornucopia and make it back to the stars, or become prey to the unknown dangers that await? So that you all understand basically how to play, here's a quick explanation on some mechanics. The game starts with all players on the same tile, and players can explore out from there. You collect resources that can then be used to repair different tiles or to craft the ship parts that you need to escape. You will also find items that have a variety of uses, such as defending yourself or moving around easier. Monsters will also appear out of vents and will move after players. To beat the game, you need to craft all 3 ship parts and then find the power core, a unique piece that cannot be crafted and is only found on the 3rd floor.
Cornucopia is a horror-themed board game. We wanted the game to reflect the tense and creepy atmosphere of the gameplay in the art style. To do this, we took to a Dead Space-inspired art style, with lots of industrial textures and dark color palettes, with a touch of sci-fi. Lighting comes from dim ceiling lights or floodlights of different kinds. All environments, tokens, and cards also employ an industrial cement look. Item cards were designed around having 3 main sections: title, graphic, and description. This is so players can easily detect what item they have and know what to do with it immediately. This design took a few iterations to get to, starting from a placeholder to the image itself and then the current version of what it is. The resource cards had a similar design, but since they are just resources and do not do anything special, there is no need to have a full description for each. The event cards went through quite a lot of iterations. They started with just a placeholder, then we had a title and a brief description. Then we decided that they need to have a line for describing what resources are needed to fix the event. Finally, we decided to add an icon that matches the event's corresponding tile to make it easier to understand what tiles connect to what events.
Balancing this game took a lot of work because we didn't get a lot of the mechanics initially right. Monsters, for example, felt very underutilized and underwhelming for a majority of our game, and our game did not really feel like a cooperative team game until much later in the development when we introduced new changes such as hand size limit and also all 4 players needing to grab the power core at the same time, and only then did it feel like every part of the team mattered. In the process of making this game, there were a lot of mechanics that we initially thought were good ideas but eventually had to cut or rework. One of the major ones being able to craft items using resources. This resulted in players not really using items because they didn't want to spend the resources on it. So when we changed it to you got items for free by picking them up on item tiles, players liked that a lot more, and we saw a lot more item usage and caring about the many items that we had.
Alright, so now we're going to talk about some positives of the game. Firstly, the gameplay loop has been very refined. Exploring feels impactful and satisfying. Also, random generation makes the game tense and requires some skill. Teamwork has become a very important and fundamental part of the game. And the art and aesthetic of the game is unique and gritty. And finally, much of the aesthetic ties back to the overall narrative of the game. Alright, so moving on to negatives of the game. A lot is RNG based, meaning that game experiences can vary in difficulty and fun. Monsters still feel a bit lacking despite constant changes. The game quickly loses its fear of the unknown, and its exploration drive after knowing all that lies within. Also, lack of variety and many features such as game difficulties. Also, the game only works with 4 players. And so in hopes of solving some of those negatives from the previous slide, here are some future ideas. Even more monsters, events, and items. More art for more diverse and interesting tiles. Custom monster figurines. Game expansions could introduce new tiles, mechanics, or even entire new floors. And new game modes to change up the rules, such as a time limit mode.
Our production workflow very closely matched agile development. We would work iteratively, first brainstorming ideas, then adding or changing features and testing as we went. We made sure to stay adaptable and not get too attached to any one idea if it did not lead to the game being more fun. Frequently, we would focus on specific mechanics that we thought were more important and refining them before moving on to the next iteration. Our group decided to split responsibilities so that we would be able to specialize and work at the same time more efficiently. We did the same thing when working on the documentation, where we would split responsibilities evenly based on the work we had previously done. We would frequently hold brainstorming sessions to come up with solutions to problems we found in testing, and features we wanted to see or think would improve the game. In the final version of the game, we have ideas contributed from each member of the team, and overall we are happy with how we work together. One of the lessons we learned is that working collaboratively on a single project is hard. We would often have conflicting ideas on what directions we should take development. Through this, we learned how to listen to each other's ideas and synthesize them to create a single product. We also learned halfway through development that we needed to be prepared to kill our darlings, and completely scrap parts of the game for the sake of making it better, which happened frequently and majorly throughout the development. Lastly, we learned that thorough elaboration and explanation is very important, especially when describing rules to catch edge cases and different interpretations.